Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, November 2nd, and this is Morning Market Movers, where we do live analysis for day trading. My name is Todd Rich. I am with Nadex. With me from Keep Trading Simple is Brian Caprice. Before Brian and I jump into it, we do need to quickly share this disclaimer that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone, that any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And lastly, this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your education purposes. Today, what we're looking at in the markets for hot spots or potential hot spots. First thing we're going to cover is what happened with the Australian dollar. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. They did have their interest rate decision last night, their policy moves. We see some significant Australian dollar weakness. We see it both here in the against the US dollar. We also saw it against the yen. So we are going to take a quick peek at the Aussie dollar. As I'm mentioning Forex, if you're not real familiar with Forex or FX trading or currency trading, it is going to be hot. This next year, with all the interest rate changes, these markets are going to get bumping. I put a link in. IG is going to be having a FX Trading Summit next Tuesday. Brian is actually going to be speaking at it. So I put that out there. Please register for the event. Come join that event next Tuesday. Share that with your friends. It is free to join. And I think if you're familiar with FX, you might learn things anyway, because we've got some other really cool speakers coming as well. But we've got that trading summit next week that I wanted to make sure everyone was familiar with. So we are going to start off with that, and then we're going to jump over to the equities. What's happening in the equity markets? We're at all-time highs. We're looking like we're going to open slightly in the green, with the exception of Nasdaq. Nasdaq being pulled down this morning a little bit by Tesla. Tesla's gapping lower 4 or 5%. If you recall, Brian and I spoke about what happened. Was it last week? I want to say it was last week, where this mysterious order for 100,000 Teslas by Hertz. Uh, yeah, as it turns out, there isn't a deal for Hertz
Yeah,
to buy
whoops.
100,000 Teslas.
Whoops.
So, well, the news did get Tesla stock to pop through the $1 trillion market cap last week. I don't know if it's still going to be there after we open this morning. I'd have to do the math, but yeah, that's pulling the Nasdaq down a little bit. But otherwise, the Dow and the S&P looking to open the green, and that's what we got for you, because I think everything's a little bit on pause going into the Fed announcement, the Fed meeting tomorrow. I'll drop that into that economic calendar for tomorrow. We've got nothing for today, but remember, and I don't think, and Brian will probably reiterate this, I don't think the Fed's going to be they're just going to tell you, and they pretty much announced it, that they're simply going to stop their purchases. I don't expect any interest rate decisions. Maybe they'll give us a little color
No.
commentary on when they'll start doing that, but I doubt they're going to say
Yeah, I don't know.
anything. They're going to do this very, very, very measured, even though other folks are calling for it. So Brian, let's jump into it. We got the
Sure.
Aussie dollar, and then we'll take a peek at equities, and then we'll have some fun tomorrow and through the end of the week. We got a lot coming on.
Yeah, we have our big session today at 12. So,
Oh, and I'll drop that link in there as well. The full
mhm.
blown session for today. If you give me a second, I will drop that in there as well.
Yeah. So I would say right now, currencies in the overnight, the only trend we're really seeing is weakness. And again, I'll explain that in a second. And we're also seeing some pound weakness. You're seeing the pound dollar down, which is interesting because the dollar is kind of mixed across the board. And then you're seeing pound yen down 86 and euro pound up 8 or 38. So it's kind of maybe something to watch out for. There may be some reversals in the pound today as their session closes. But last night, the reason we're talking about the Aussie is the Aussie dollar right now, and as well as the Aussie yen, are down pretty big. Right now, in the last 24 hours, down 51. Besides the pound yen, which should obviously be a lot more, it's the biggest mover. Now, we mentioned it yesterday, and it kind of came to fruition. We talked about how, we had to watch this, kind of see where price was moving. If it pushed it one of the two extremes, it would kind of foreshadow what was going to happen. And then again, we were looking for kind of basing levels that news could spike into. I said everything out there said that the Aussie was going to be good, but the question was everybody expected them to pull back, which means that there was kind of the possibility of disappointment. And again, if they didn't say anything that was super strong, and even if it was strong, it had to be so strong to above and beyond what the market felt to really kind of give the Aussie a boost because they kind of telegraphed it. They did the exact opposite. They basically said nothing's going to change. We're still holding off, which was a sign of weakness because everybody expected them to make changes. So again, you can't really see it here. It's in the rate statement. Basically, what they said over here was not that one. Basically, I mean, literally, this is what and the reason we're telling you this is because this is kind of what I expect the FOMC to say tomorrow as well. Leaving the rate unchanged, we're going to continue to purchase at least until February of next year. We're going to, we're discontinuing the basis point for 2024. They're seeing that, we're going to be patient. We're seeing underlying inflation at 2.25 over, the next 2 years, which again, maybe it's different in Australia. Maybe it's a good time to go to Australia. There's no rate hike. They want to see a sustainable area between 2 and 3%, which again is above, and that's what they're saying. So basically, it's not what everybody thought. They thought they were going to pull back and tapering like everybody else and really start kind of giving us an idea of when they're going to start raising. They basically said we're not tapering. So what it did in the chart was basically this. All right. Now, we knew we had the price rising, and we talked about that yesterday morning. We were sitting over in this area, and price kind of went up and found some of the sellers, although we were looking for one of these three areas. And it came up and gave us kind of a new top. And then about an hour and a half, it gave us another new top right before the news came out. As you can see, here's where the news event happened. Here's this long, I don't know if you can see it, long wick, big body, long wick. Price started here. News came out, came right back up into that level, and then collapsed all the way down and continued to collapse. And it came all the way down to the opposing zone at 74.85. I'm sorry, 74.58. This blue line right here, the directions I gave you guys yesterday was I said, wait to see what the new prints were in the market after Nadex closed. Well, at 6 o'clock, this was a call spread. Okay. And a lot of people always ask, why do you do call spreads? I don't really understand how to do them. Well, here was the opportunity. When you knew the price was coming, it was right at the money. You may or may not wanted to take it at the money. You're kind of waiting for a pullback. There was not really a whole lot there. But as price spiked up, it took itself out of the money, made itself a cheaper entry, as well as some of the premium disappeared because the news release came out. It disappeared because the news is out, right? Came back up, grabbed this level, and as you can see, ran about 65 pips all the way to the opposing zone. And again, that's how you guys trade all spreads with news, okay? Ideal setup, it's kind of the same thing we do with the oil, the 35 and 1. Aussie yen looks very, very similar. But again, the reason we're bringing this up is because I think, again, every single news release, we have a lot of these policy statements coming, a lot of these cash rate things, all in the next really kind of 2 weeks, right? Everybody has one of these. Every single one of them can be traded the exact same way. Okay, now whether you choose binaries, call spreads, knockouts, I'd be a little bit cautious with. But again, textbook play. We told you about it yesterday. Huge move, and you can see again, it is sitting on the opposing zone. Right now, for today, I would say look for a potential reversal. As you can see, it's having a hard time going lower, and now it's actually putting in a little bit of a higher. It's not quite a higher high yet. But if the price turns here with the U.S. trader coming online, that gives us the ability to have a higher low, which again could signify a trend train. And I would expect it to come up probably back in the 75 range, about another 50 pips higher. So we'll see how that one kind of pulls out. But again, huge move in price, nothing really changed. We should see it, come back up again. And again, it kind of matches. The dollar index is kind of doing its thing. It just kind of stabilized right here. It was unable to get fully to the 50. But again, we start seeing some dollar weakness coming in here. That absolutely, without a doubt, helps us get the Aussie to retrace back up to where its median price should be. You have anything with that, Todd? Do you want to add?
No, I think you got that covered pretty well, and I think it's good for people to start. I mean, we haven't had in the last few days, we haven't had a lot of movement in any of the currencies. We did have this Australian dollar move, so we certainly wanted to take a look at it. And with the Fed getting ready to do something, who knows what's going to happen with the dollar tomorrow? It could be more interesting times. So just sort of teeing that up, that we'll probably be talking about the dollar tomorrow and how that might get impacted by anything that the Fed says. For today, though, at least, let's just jump over the only other thing we really got going on. I did drop in a link for the news for tomorrow, but let's let's just take a
Yeah,
quick peek at some
there's
of these
nothing really
equities.
news-wise today. I mean,
Nothing.
tomorrow morning there's a bunch in there. The only thing you guys can really look for today, I mean, and again, FOMC statement is going to dominate, as well as the ADP non-farm change, because it's the first Wednesday of the month. Tomorrow's a big day news-wise. Don't forget, today, this afternoon, is when the API oil inventory report comes out. It's not
Right.
it's not the official one, right? The official, the EIA, is over here tomorrow morning, but tonight is the industry-specific one, and that comes out at the close of business. So, as well as New Zealand, but we don't, we're not trading New Zealand here. And again, New Zealand's numbers look great. Unemployment rate going down, employment change, again, positive, in a positive direction. So, New Zealand is rolling. Remember, they raised interest rates also. They were the first nation to do it. So I would say
That's
watch
because
that.
they were on the forefront of fighting the pandemic.
They just locked it down. Like I saw yesterday, Tonga actually was like, they hadn't gotten a case yet, and they locked the country down completely because they got their first case yesterday.
Wow.
But they've made it 2 years with not a single case. So we'll see if they can lock down that one. Crazy. But right now, all the indices besides the NQ look like they're in the positive. Right now, the VIX, looking at the 30-minute on the VIX is on that lower side. And again, this is kind of an area where, we've seen buyers step in, but they've done it a few different times now, 3 or 4 times. If the VIX continues to fall, again, all the indices should stay a little bit more positive. But right now, it's not showing us anything too crazy. ES, again, VIX is looking good. It's rallying back up again. I would say, if anything, watch out for maybe some selling coming in here at the 46.15 mark. If you look to see where the Europeans really stepped into the market, it was right here. Right? So really not a whole lot, just again using that 4600 as an area of kind of bouncing. And again, there was your European session trade. Right now where we are, I mean, we need a little bit more movement. I would say drop it to a 15. Yeah, it's not really giving us anything super clean either way. I would say it's going to have to drop back down to 4600, but that's an 8-point drop to get us really along right here. But it's just kind of doing its little basing thing. Yeah, and there's a little bit of sellers right above at 46.11, but really nothing even remotely clean until 46.15. So I don't know. In the next 15 minutes, if we can pull that rally, then yeah, I would say there's a short here at the open. But right now, that's as close as we got. It's going to be that psychological number at 4600. NQ, it's considered red, but again, is it really trending? And not so much. But I would say that there is an area here where you can say, hey, listen, got some basing in here. Nice push. It hit it. This is a nice little racetrack here. If we are able to break through, there could be a potential short position coming in here. And that gives us an entry of approximately 15,850. And again, check it on your platform, depending on which one you're doing. It may be just slightly different, but again, use the top of that body. A 1 to 3 is coming down to right there. So again, plenty of room to get back down to the 15,800. And again, maybe they talk more about the Tesla news. Everybody's anti-Elon right now. It's like, hey, you need to pay more taxes. He's like, but I'm going to get us to Mars. No, pay more taxes. He's like, but Mars, more taxes. And meanwhile, Bezos is like, yeah, I'll get us to Mars. YM is doing the same thing. I would say, again, watch for the psychological level. Looks like 50 or 35,900 is up there. I would say that that's probably the next level sitting above. Actually, we'll change that to we'll change it to blue. Yeah, it's not really anything nice. If it pulls back a little bit, there could be a case made that we need to go long at the open. If we get right back down to that 35,800, you can see that little pullback, that base, and that little pop off of it. So that could be a nice little trade setup. Let's see real quick how long we need it to be. Yeah, it's pretty short. This is a small one. Yeah, 1 to 3 is right there. So yeah, it would basically bring it back up to where we're right now. So there's a potential setup for that one. And then Russell's on a different planet. It didn't pay attention to anything that happened yesterday.
Right.
So Russell, yeah, like the blue pill or the red pill. I don't know which one. I forget.
Yeah,
Matrix
well,
people.
those small caps, the small and mid caps, people are liking them.
They're always going to go. I mean, they're always going to be the first one out of the gate, right?
Yep.
It just that's how it works. If everything is good, they roll. But I will say where it's kind of peaking right now. It does look like it wants and actually we do have a little bit of basing right here, and there's a little bit of a test in the overnight, right at 6 o'clock that morning. So yeah, it looks like if we can get a little pullback here too, there could be a potential long. But again, if this does start to collapse, something starts to get really, really negative, which there's not really much out there negative right now, this one should roll. If they do if they do mention raising interest rates, the Russell will not like that because again, raising interest rates makes borrowing more expensive, which hurts small business more than it hurts big business, which will lead the Russell down faster. So again, they start mentioning that tomorrow. Look for this big fall. We could have a big crash all the way back down to that 23 range.
All right.
That's it.
Yeah. So listen. Well, one, any uh, any questions for Nadex, please email us customerservice@nadex.com. Any questions for Brian, you can email Brian support@keeptradingsimple.com. I did drop in. There's going to be the full-blown hour-long session in 3 hours. So if you're not registered for the weekly charts and analysis session, I'm showing you that link right now. That's today. Come join us in 3 hours after the open, and Brian will be going through a little bit of everything and how things opened, and probably talk about getting set up for tomorrow. Again, tomorrow, just reminding everyone that we do have that the calendar for tomorrow, the Fed, and we're going to hear some policy from them. So tomorrow afternoon, going to be an interesting day, particularly. And if you're not familiar with FX markets, I did drop this link back in there as well. Please sign up for that trading summit. Come join us. Yeah, I think you'll get the basics of FX, but then you're going to get some other some psychology of trading, different trading styles. We've got some really cool speakers coming in from just different folks. So, and Brian's going to be speaking there, so you can definitely catch Brian's session. And I just want to remind everyone we do have that trader style quiz that Nadex put out there. If you wanted to learn about different styles of trading, if you're new to trading, you want to find out how your personality fits with whether you're a swing trader or a momentum trader or whatever it is, you can learn a little bit just from your trading psychology. It's not a perfect uh, it's not the answer, but if you take the quiz, you might get a feeling for how you personally are, a little bit from my psychology standpoint, and what style might suit you better. It can help you along on your trading journey. And with that, if there's uh, I think there wasn't a lot to cover today. We had the news in the Australian dollar, and then we've got equities all trading higher, particularly the Russell, with the exception of the Nasdaq, and that's only being pulled down because of the Tesla news or the Tesla non-news that came out with that whole Hertz scenario, which I'm sure people will be chatting about today because there really isn't much of anything else for them to
Yeah,
be
no,
covering.
today's not a big day. Tomorrow's a big day.
Tomorrow's and then everyone's getting ready for tomorrow. So with that, join us again in 3 hours. Look forward to having you back in 3 hours. If not, Brian and I will be back tomorrow morning. We will catch you then. Good luck in the markets, everyone. Thank you for joining.